HQN presents A Wedding in December by Sarah Morgan. Read by Lucy Tregear. Maggie. When her phone rang at 3 in the morning, ripping her from a desperately needed sleep, Maggie's first thought was bad news. Her mind raced through the possibilities, starting with the worst-case scenario. Death, or at least life-changing injury. Police, ambulances. Heart-pounding, brain-foggy, she grabbed her phone from the summit of her teetering pile of books. The name on the screen offered no reassurance. Trouble stalked her youngest daughter. Rosie? She fumbled for the light and sat up. The book she'd fallen asleep reading thudded to the floor, scattering the pile of Christmas cards she'd started to write the night before. She'd chosen a winter scene of snow-laden trees. They hadn't had a flake of snow in the village on Christmas Day for close to a decade. They often joked that it was a good thing their last name was White, because it was the only way they were ever going to have a white Christmas. She snuggled under the blanket with the phone. Has something happened? The physical distance between her and Rosie made her feel frustrated and helpless. Everyone said global travel made the world smaller, but it didn't seem smaller to Maggie. Why couldn't her daughter have continued her studies closer to home? Oxford, with its famous spires and ancient colleges, was only a few miles away. Rosie had done her undergraduate degree there, followed by a master's. Maggie had loved having her close by. They'd taken sunlit strolls along cobbled streets, past ancient honey-coloured buildings and through Christchurch meadows golden with daffodils. They'd followed the slow meander of the river and cheered on the rowing crews. Maggie had hoped, privately, that her daughter might stay close by, but after Rosie had graduated, she'd been offered a place in a US doctoral programme, complete with full funding. "Can you believe it, Mum?" The day she'd had the news, she'd danced across the living room, hair flying around her face, twirling until she was dizzy, and Maggie was dizzy watching her. "Are you proud of me?" Maggie had been proud and dismayed in equal measure. Although she had hidden the dismayed part, of course. That was what you did when you were a parent. Even she could see it was too good an opportunity to turn down. But still a small part of her had wished Rosie had turned it down. That transatlantic flight from the nest left Maggie with email, Skype and social media, none of which felt entirely satisfactory. Even less so in the middle of the night. Had Rosie only been gone for 4 months? It felt like a lifetime since they'd delivered her to the airport on that sweltering summer's day. "Is it your asthma? Are you in hospital?" What could she do if Rosie was in the hospital? Nothing. Anxiety was a constant companion, never more so than now. If it had been her eldest daughter, Katie, who had moved to a different country, she might have felt more relaxed. Katie was reliable and sensible. But Rosie had always been impulsive and adventurous. "I'm not in hospital, don't fuss." Only now did Maggie hear the noise in the background. Cheering, whooping. "Do you have your inhaler with you? You sound breathless." The sound woke the memories. Rosie, eyes bulging, lips stained blue. The whistling sound as air struggled to squeeze through narrowed airways. Maggie making emergency calls with hands that shook almost too hard to hold the phone. The terror raw and brutal, although she kept that hidden from her child. Calm, she'd learned, was important, even if it was faked. Even when Rosie had moved from child to adult, there had been no reprieve. Some children grew out of asthma. Not Rosie. There'd been a couple of occasions when Rosie was in college when she'd gone to parties without her inhaler. A few hours of dancing later, and she had been rushed to the emergency department. That had been a 3 a.m. phone call too, and Maggie had raced through the night to be by her side. Those were the episodes Maggie knew about. She was sure there were plenty more that Rosie had kept to herself. "I'm breathless because I'm excited. I'm 22, Mum. When are you going to stop worrying?" "That would be never. Your child is always your child, no matter how many candles are on the birthday cake. Where are you?" "I'm with Dan's family in Aspen for Thanksgiving. And I have news." She broke off, and Maggie heard the clink of glasses and Rosie's infectious laugh.
Sample complete. Ready to continue?